You looked at the stack and you said, we have to burn it. We really did add a very efficient communication layer to the whole raw material industry, right?
We were kind of the only players in the market who had this huge digital presence, pan-India presence. We are kind of getting into that, journey of AIification. We are going to use AI for support, for predictive pricing, and so many other things.
Hello and welcome to Source One podcast.
This is From Chaos to Code, a story of how two people from completely different backgrounds came together to digitize India's trillion-dollar raw material industry, starting with WhatsApp and a dream.
To building a team and now growing to become India's largest B2B platform, from polymers to chemicals, from e-commerce to AI commerce, and so much more. So, Shrinath, here is when it gets really brutal, right? Before you came in, I'd already spent about 2 years working on the possible solutions. Spent a lot of my savings on it, almost 2 years of efforts, and tried to create something that could be a potential product.
I would call it the product that we needed.
I mean, it was brutal, right? You looked at the stack and you said, we have to burn it. I mean, it was a devastating moment for me. How do you really tell somebody that 2 years of his efforts and a huge part of his savings all are going to go to vain, right?
I think I said start from scratch, right? It was more of a logical decision making. I looked at the whole code that was already made, and there were all these various parts which, I mean, if we would have taken that, it would have maybe taken longer, or maybe would not have kind of built the platform that we are looking for today. And instead, what I thought was that it's better to start off something very simple. It's like sometimes it's better to start off with a tent, right? Rather than have a warehouse or the thing, because you don't know how it's going to evolve in the future. So that was the thought process.
Right. You know, I get you. And even at that time, I understood your logic, and deep down, I think I agreed with you as well. I was trying to confront you with a lot of other opinions as well, but deep down, I think you were right.
I, and again, like, I totally understand that it would have taken a lot of guts, a lot of courage to kind of go with that decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, guts, desperation, and a hell lot of faith.
So now we're starting from scratch, right? And when we say starting from scratch, it's not just the tech parts. We're talking about even the non-tech parts.
Yeah, you know what, Shrinath? People romanticize startups a lot, right? The glorification, the grind, the growth, the success a lot. But what we forget is before all of this comes a long phase of unknowns where you don't even know whether you'll survive the next day, right? And this is the most difficult phase in building that uh, startup, right? In our case, the problem was so big that we had to make this work, right? I mean, it really doesn't matter how long does it take or how many trials it takes.
And talking of trials, if we could talk about that breakthrough moment, uh, you know, when um, uh, when we were thinking, how do we reach out to all these buyers? So many buyers, suppliers, transporters? How do we reach out to so many people?
Right. The traditional way was phone calls, emails, feet on street, directories, association meetings, and so on and so forth. Right. I mean, slow, inefficient, and non-scalable.
And I think that's when somebody, I guess it was you, who suggested using WhatsApp.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty obvious at hindsight, right? That time it did look like a hack, but if you think deeper about it, WhatsApp already existed in everybody's smartphone, right? You could really meet the customer where they really are, right? Even in my previous experience, we had, committed this classic mistake of building new technology, changing user behavior, and so on and so forth. And I mean, for us, we were dealing in a very, very traditional industry. And the thought process was, hey, can we just use an existing product instead of building a new product here? And that is when WhatsApp came to mind, right? Everybody is already using WhatsApp day in, day out. The number of use cases are growing. And with WhatsApp, you could literally be at everybody's smartphone 9:30 a.m. in the morning when your competition is starting up at 11:30, right? And that gives us a huge competitive edge over every other competition.
And it worked, right? I mean, we had a very good traction in the initial days, and it was totally unexpected, right?
Yeah. I mean, Shrinath, thinking of it, we really did add a very efficient communication layer to the whole raw material industry, right? In B2C, this is very, very common. When you buy a phone, you get information about the whole ordering process, and every stage of the order process, you're informed of when you're going to get the delivery. But unfortunately, in raw material, there was a complete vacuum as far as communication is concerned, right? And we replicated this whole communication notification in the B2B world, where, for example, uh, the moment driver reaches the loading premises, or it's about to reach the factory location for the delivery, every single part was digitized, made transparent, and it really worked wonders for these manufacturers.
So WhatsApp gave us three things, right? One was the immediate attention part, where um, where people just got the notifications right after we sent them. Even the price messages that you said at 9:30, they got it at 9:30. And the second part was, of course, the scale. Uh, Millions of people, whether it being buyers or transporters, we could reach out to them without any sort of delay. And the third was, of course, the adoption aspect, right? That we really did not have to uh, make them download a platform or an app or whatever. WhatsApp was already there for them, so we didn't have to do any extra effort there. And the summation of all this is we were able to meet the industry where it was, and we gave it what it needed.
So, within a few months, we did start seeing scale, right? But here is the interesting part. Every time we'll solve a problem, a new and a bigger problem will appear up. We fixed pricing first, and logistics came up in a big way, right? We fixed for logistics, credit came up, we fixed for credit, risk management comes up, right? So it was like a never ending journey of solving a bigger problem every time. In fact, you remember that time when our whole WhatsApp account was blocked, the whole ecosystem had kind of collapsed. And we were quite confused what to do.
Yeah. I totally remember that. It, but these are the kind of moments that that indicate to you that that we are kind of breaking barriers and going big, right? And uh, these kinds of challenges or blockers, whatever we call it, were kind of like the stepping stones to a success. Um, and when the industry kind of gave us indications, like our buyers and suppliers used to come up to us and say that, hey, you guys are doing a good job, and then that kept us going despite all these things. And then we were, I guess, looking for the next big challenge, right?
Yeah. And I mean, a happy manufacturer makes it all worth the effort, right? And that's when the black swan event really happened, right? uh,
Oh yeah, COVID.
COVID. Yeah, I mean, not that we were doing great before COVID, but this is once in a lifetime kind of incident that happened, and it completely blew apart everything that we had kind of built. Um, um, and the series of lockdowns, unknowns, uncertainties, and everything, right?
Right. I mean, when the lockdown hit, the whole uh, offline ecosystem kind of came to a standstill, right? And that was an interesting time.
Right.
And but it did help us in a way that um we we were kind of the only players in the market who had this huge digital presence, pan India presence, and that uh, kept the industry going. And what was interesting was that every now and then we would kind of look at a certain buyer who would be somebody who was manufacturing masks or any other kind of medical equipment, right? And that gave us also a huge boost that we are, even in this kind of time, we are really helping out the industry.
Right. And funnily, Shrinath, talking of lockdowns, every lockdown we used to have hundreds of new customers coming to us, forced, but then they stayed back. And every time there was a lockdown, our customer base would just rocket up, right? In fact, I mean, maybe I should not be saying this, but I was um, uh, secretly hoping for a third lockdown also.
Yeah, but I mean that's the reality, right? I mean, whenever a new way of doing thing comes along, like a Zomato or an Uber, they kind of uh, you can't go back after that, right? I mean, it's so much better than how you were doing earlier, and I think that's the kind of role that we played in the market.
Right. And you know, during COVID, the volumes dropped considerably, but overall the whole model was disrupted. Right, there were new processes, new products, new requirements, and new expectations all the time. Right. Um, um, Fortunately, everything that we did build out in the initial years um, did prove very, very handy during the COVID era, right? All those transparent pricing, immediate notification, merit based credit, um, they proved really wonders for us. And it really validated all the sleepless nights that we've had. And I think it proved a very important thing to us, right? That even Indian MSMEs can go digital if you build the right product.
Right.
So, talking of products, Shrinath, let's talk about now, right? We've built a pan India company, 10,000 customers, 87% of all PIN codes have been reached, um, touching almost 3,000 crores of top line. But we're not satisfied, for sure. We want to do better, faster, and probably a time when we will need a leap of faith.
Right. And I think in the last few years, there's been a certain, we could call it discovery or innovation, which was AI, right? Not that AI was not there before. Machine learning and AI have been there for decades, but the LLMs, the scale at which these LLMs, and so many options that we have got now, whether it's Gemini or OpenAI or any other models, they have percolated in the industry in such a way that all those problems or complex scenarios that we had to code up or think about, um, which prevented us from automating the whole end-to-end journey, that is now possible. So we are kind of getting into that journey of AIification, if we can call it, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
I mean, I must confess, I was a little skeptical about this whole AIification unless you presented the first real world problem, the first use case.
Right. And I think you had a different problem statement in mind, which was the pricing, the pricing problem. But we went with the other one, since you already know.
Right, the freight problem, right?
Correct. And the reason we went with that was that it's a much simpler problem statement, but it still has a huge impact. I mean, we went from manually editing freights for like thousands of routes across India to doing it using an algorithm which keeps updating itself, and and it's reflected in the outcome. We went from more than 19% error rate to 8% or lesser. So our predictions, our freight predictions are really working out, and that's just the first iteration, right?
And I mean, given my transportation background as well, Shrinath, I must say it's a fascinating solution that we have built using AI, and you were right again.
And this is just the beginning, right? I mean, we are going to use AI for support, for predictive pricing, and so many other things.
And you know what, Shrinath, this takes us real closer to our final goal, right? Of digitizing the whole procurement experience for the manufacturing world, for the large part of MSMEs in general. Something that food apps like Zomato and Swiggy have done it for the food world. We are going to be doing it for the raw materials segment.
Right, and talking about like Zomato, what's been happening now? Uh, you know, the very fact that we mentioned Zomato, now our phones are going to give us ads on Zomato for the next, I don't know, 1 week or so. But that is the kind of innovation that we will be doing for our customers, right? Where they will be getting the kind of information that they need, whether it's pricing or new products, when they need it.
Right. And this builds a system that that understands these manufacturers, enables them, and serves them. Not just for chemicals, in fact, to agro, pharma, construction, you name it, and we are going to do it for every single manufacturing segment and manage these billion dollar problems of logistics, credit, commerce for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah. So, Shrinath, let's address the elephant in the room, right? Um, uh, I'm sure even you've had moments of weakness where uh, you start questioning your work, your existence, whatever we're building here. I mean, don't you sometimes think we're too crazy? Is this ever going to work?
Yeah, I mean, people use all kinds of words. I mean, there's this Hindi word called junoon, which I guess translates to passion, right? But when you think about it, it was all those challenges that we faced, the blockers that we were talking about. each time we faced a blocker or a breakthrough moment, then we crossed it, and then after all that, then you start hearing the feedback, right? That we did a lot of change in the industry, we added so much value, and then it gives you that satisfaction. So both the parts, the pain of going beyond, and then the satisfaction of then seeing the results, I guess that's the kind of thing that we live for, and that's the kind of thing that drives us, right? Everything else, I mean, all these other words would probably be just fancy words. This is the real deal, right?
Right. Agreed. And we've had these weak moments of when it feels like the whole castle is breaking down, but the whole idea of being together in this journey, working along with to solve this unsurmountable kind of challenges, and most important of all, the fact that end of the day it really serves the manufacturing community. There are thousands and thousands of manufacturers getting better, faster, more efficient, more productive by our work really makes it worth all the grind that we go through, right?
And yeah, hey, I mean, we are just getting started, right? We are getting into new verticals, and we are building so many new products. So yeah, I mean, huge things coming up.
But obviously the mission remains the same, right? Make technology accessible to MSMEs, for MSMEs, and by MSMEs. Empower them with transparency, speed, and data, and create a technology where they can really achieve the impossible.
And we are the humans behind those technologies, right? And when we say we, it's not just the two of us, right? It's the whole team. I mean, all the whole source team, right? And including also the investors who have backed us, and who have given us the kind of belief, believed in us in a way. And we are all doing this together and moving this engine along in this transformational journey to great heights, right?
And we say chaos to code.
From WhatsApp to AI, this is Source.
This was the Source podcast, where we are sharing our journeys, the stories that shaped us, and the humans that held it all together, while we are on a mission to digitize thousands of MSMEs through technology, network, and data.
So follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for short clips, insights, and do share it with someone else who's building something bold like us.